Let the bell be an invitation for your awareness to descend into your body and simply become aware of your body, allowing your awareness to just rest in the solidity of your body, just grounding your awareness in what feels solid about your body. Sometimes a good place to start is where your body comes in contact with the chair, the floor, cushion. Body feels very solid right there. And then just expand your awareness slowly throughout your whole body, grounding your awareness, resting in the solidity of your body. Let your body be relaxed and at ease. And now gently bring your attention to the sensations of the breath as it enters and exits your body. Let your breath be natural, unmodified. Simply be aware of the sensations that arise as each breath enters and exits your body. And now let's take a little time to contemplate the thought. Just like me, all others are seeking happiness. Isn't this just fundamentally true? Aren't we all seeking happiness in our lives? Take a moment to reflect upon how much time and energy you spend seeking happiness. From the moment we wake up, isn't our mind seeking things that are pleasurable? So right now I invite you to take a little time to reflect upon some of the skillful ways that you find happiness in your life. And in our quest for happiness, we also do some very unskillful things. Not intentionally or on purpose even, but as we strive for happiness, sometimes we harm others. Sometimes we harm ourselves, do things we regret. So I invite you right now to bring to mind some of the unskillful ways, things that we've done that we regret in our quest for happiness. And now I invite you to bring to mind a dear friend. And just like you, aren't they also fundamentally seeking happiness? I invite you to bring to mind some of the skillful things they do, things that they engage in, activities that are meaningful to them, that bring about happiness for them. In their search for happiness, their desire to be happy and find pleasure, just like you, don't they also engage in some unskillful activities? Maybe some of the same ones. So I invite you to bring to mind some of the unskillful ways that they try to seek happiness. Now I invite you to bring to mind someone you're challenged by, someone that you don't like very much. Not your worst enemy, not someone who really triggers you, but someone that you find challenging. And just like you, just like everyone, don't they also want to be happy? Isn't a big part of their motivation in life to find some happiness? So I invite you to bring to mind some ways that they seek happiness that are healthy and skillful. Maybe you don't know them that well, but can you imagine that they engage in some skillful activities much like you do? They bring about some happiness and joy in their lives. And just like you, aren't they prone to making mistakes and engaging in unskillful, even harmful activities in their quest for happiness? Take a moment to reflect upon some of the unskillful methods they use in their quest for happiness. And now let's contemplate the next thought. Just like me, all others are trying to avoid suffering. Just as we all seek happiness, don't we also seek to avoid suffering? So I invite you to call to mind the methods that you use to avoid suffering. Throughout your life, you've learned many skillful ways to avoid suffering, life lessons that have helped you. So I invite you to reflect upon some of the skillful methods that you use to avoid suffering in your life. Now I invite you to call to mind some of the unskillful methods that you've used to avoid suffering. Things that may have prevented a temporary suffering, but maybe you don't feel so good about, or things that actually wound up being somewhat harmful to yourself or others. Now bringing to mind your dear friend, just like you, just like everyone. They also want to avoid suffering, and see if you can call to mind some of the skillful methods they've learned to avoid suffering. And just like you, in their desire to avoid suffering, they've also made mistakes, engaged in some unhealthy activities. See if you can identify some of those, maybe similar to the ones you've engaged in. Now bringing to mind our challenging friend. Just like you, just like your friends, just like everyone, they too are trying to avoid suffering. They also have engaged in some very skillful methods to avoid suffering. Maybe you can imagine some of the skillful ways or methods that they've used to avoid suffering. And just like all of us, they've also engaged in unskillful methods to avoid suffering, doing things that have been harmful, things they regret. Take a moment to reflect upon this. Now let's reflect upon another truth. Just like me, all others have known hardship, challenges, sadness, despair. Haven't you known hardship, sadness, despair? Known some tragedy? Take a moment and reflect upon some of the sadness, challenges you face in your own life. Were there people that were there for you, that helped you find your way through these difficult times? Take a moment to call them to mind and really feel the gratitude for their help and guidance. And just like you, and just like all of us, our dear friend has known hardships, sadness, tragedy, despair. Maybe they've shared them with you. Maybe you've been there for them. Take a moment to reflect upon some of the challenges your dear friend has faced. Maybe you were there for them. Maybe others were there for them. But isn't it wonderful that people were there for them to help them? Maybe they've been there for you. Now bring to mind our challenging friend. Just like us, they have known tragedy, hardship, sadness, despair. Maybe some of these hardships and challenges have created some of the issues that we find challenging about them. Take a moment to reflect upon this. Just like us, didn't they also have some people that were there for them, to help them? See if we can have a desire that they continue to have people help them in their times of challenge, despair, and sadness. They might grow, find their way, be a little healthier. Now let's bring to mind another truth. Just like me, all others are trying to get their needs met. Think about how much of your day is wrapped up in getting your needs met. How do we tend to all the needs that we have in a day to be clothed and fed and housed and our work and our kids and our family? So much of our mind, time, our energy is wrapped up in ensuring that our needs get met. Sometimes we are very skillful in tending to our needs. And sometimes we're not so skillful. Sometimes trying to get our needs met, we confuse our needs with our wants and our desires. Sometimes we say things we regret, let people down. Sometimes we're quite skillful. Well, just as this is true for us, is it also true for our dear friend? Aren't they trying to get their needs met, sometimes skillfully, sometimes not so skillfully? And isn't this also true for our challenging friend? And fundamentally, they're really just trying to get their needs met. Sometimes out of confusion, they make a lot of mistakes. Sometimes out of the tragedies and difficulties in their own life, their attempts to get their needs met are unskillful, even harmful. Often they confuse their needs with their wants and desires, just like us. Now, let's reflect upon another simple truth, that just like me, all others are learning how to live. Haven't we learned many life lessons? Haven't we done many things we regret? Haven't we also found the strength and resources to grow and learn and become better? Aren't we a much better human being than we used to be? And isn't this true of our dear friend? Aren't they also learning how to live? Life lessons show up every day. This is also true of our challenging friend. They too are learning how to live, and there's an incredible amount of potential that just like us, they may change. They may have opportunities to grow. Wouldn't that be wonderful? So let's just take a moment to conclude our meditation with the thought, how wonderful it would be if all of us learned skillful activities to cultivate happiness in our lives. That all of us were free of suffering. That all of us have others to help us through our times of hardship, sadness, and despair. That all of us find a way to have our needs met skillfully. That all of us continue to engage in life lessons and learn how to live meaningful lives for ourselves and others.